Talk about how to pick your clients, because maybe we're doing some things wrong. We're picking the nightmare clients or the
Yeah.
clients from hell, whatever. Let's talk about the ideal clients, and then how we can pick them versus get picked or fall into that trap.
Yeah, so I think most successful entrepreneurs have already figured this out. So I'm gonna just put this in the broader, like I'm an aspiring entrepreneur. I want to get more clients, and I can't seem to figure out what the pattern is. Right now, most people look at like finding clients. I think because they're like promiscuous with their business. Anybody who shows up is good for me.
Well, they're gobbling up.
Whatever.
They have a goal.
There's no standard here.
I want to get to 10 million. So
Right.
like more clients is more money.
Yeah. So anybody that's got a pulse and a check, they'll take.
Yeah.
And then what happens is they're run ragged because every time they're doing something new, a little bit different temperament of a client, and there's no real there's no ability to build systems and do pattern recognition because everything is so different and wild. And some people get really excited about that because life's an adventure. Cool. But the people who understand that, you know what, this is who I'd love to serve in the market. You have to have specific revenue or business interests, or maybe you're about protecting the environment or taking care of people in need who are kind of underserved in their communities.
Right.
Okay, all of a sudden, we talk about learning the lyrics. You start speaking to them and you draw one another to each other. And so I think, and Ronald Baker talks about this in his book, is we need to be discriminating sellers of services. Mm-hmm. We have to figure out who we're for and who we're definitely not for. And by making those decisions, you actually attract more of what you want and less of what you don't want.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important thing.
I would agree. Let's unpack that a little bit more. So
Okay.
how do we tactically do that? Is it about like this sort of persona or psychographic, kind of like when we're thinking about our audience? Is it the same kind of exercise where we're writing it down? Like for example, I would never work with someone who sells cigarettes.
Yep.
It's just against my values. I don't smoke. I know other people who smoke. It's just not my thing. So I would choose not to work with companies like that because I don't want to propagate that kind of business. I love dogs. I would definitely support a brand or a company that's around pets or animals because I love animals. Is it that kind of thing? How do we
Yeah,
do that?
there's a lot of ways to look at this. If you did some promotional material, commercial, a branded piece of content for some dog thing, what happens is someone else says, well, who did that work for you? Oh, O'Brien did.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you become the dog guy and you get a ton of dog products, brand services that are tied into what you want to do.
Yeah.
And if it makes you happy, it's even better because not only are you making money, but you actually get to fulfill some part of your creative soul, which is, I think, a necessary thing.
Yeah.
Versus someone who's like a cat person, they get more dog work. It's like, this is miserable. I hate dogs. The dogs are terrible. I'm a cat person, right?
Right.
And then they just do more work that makes them miserable. And so who's going to have the advantage in the marketplace? Someone who truly loves dogs or someone who deals with it, bears that, like, hey, I'll just grind or grit my way through it. And naturally, I think your work's going to be more inspired. It's going to be better. And the clients are going to feel that connection that you have. So it's important that you identify those people.
Yeah.
Yes, you should probably build a user persona that includes not only demographics, is usually where people stop, but psychographics, like what are their activities, interests, values, things that go beyond some quantitative thing that you can write down.
Yeah. What do they believe?
What do they believe? And then if you can get a clear picture as to who they are, and I would go really granular, think about where they went to school, what they studied, what their philosophy is in life, and where they gather their news and information, entertainment from, and get really clear and build a super strong profile so that you can then start to, maybe there's a law of attraction, attract the right kind of client to you and speak their language.
Is this something that you can take from a list or a Google sheet and somehow integrate it into your website so that when people land there and look at you, then they also kind of get a vibe for what you're about or what you're not about?
I think so. What starts out in words becomes super clear. So now you can envision them in your mind. So the next thing I would do is like, okay, let's test the idea. Let's put some visuals against that. Why don't we put together a mood board? Why don't we show the person in a lifestyle moment. Like, are they wearing yoga pants? Or are they wearing no pants, like shorts, cut off jeans, as we mentioned? What does their world look like? Where are they shopping, eating? What are the patterns, materials, colors, textures? Let's build that out. It's maybe a vision board for who your client is, and then see if we connect and resonate. Let that inform how you then design what it is that you do.
Yeah.
There's this whole thing. I think Dale Carnegie talks about this. He's like, when I go fishing, like, I love strawberries and cream, but that doesn't work for fishing. It has nothing to do with what I want. It has a lot to do with what fish want, which is probably worms and insects, right? Or other fish. And so we have to understand what is attractive to them, what draws them, compels them, and makes them feel like I feel at home, I feel seen. And if there's a mismatch, it's going to be very difficult for you to try and attract them.
Yeah, and convince them to work with you, because you've already formulated an opinion. And that's also brand building, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's part of, like, putting it out there, like, this is what we stand for, these are our values, and then whether or not we walk the talk.
Right. Like, let me put this visual in your mind. Somebody's wearing a cap, has a mullet, like a tank top with those big hot pink pants, the workout pants that people used to wear in the 80s. There's a vibe there for you. And if that's your vibe, you're going to attract those kinds of people. Mm-hmm. And then there's a different vibe, like, let's just say Pharrell Williams, who's like eclectic mixture of like high fashion but low fashion. It's got the right vibe, and you're like, whoa, I connect with that person, I connect with this person. They're very different. And this is before you even hear them speak, what their ideas are and what they believe in. Because the visual parts, because there's a lot of our brain that's focused on what the eyes do, right? So we see and we make a lot of snap decisions. We shouldn't, but we do. Mm-hmm. They signal to us. And I was doing a test, right? Like, how strong are people's personal brand and what they signal to us? So if I were to show you a red cap, it instantly goes to MAGA. At this point, Trump owns the red cap. No words, anything with a red cap, you're like, that is MAGA. And then we associate all kinds of things with it. Neither good nor bad, but I'm just saying there's heavy association, and you're signaling to others.
It becomes a shorthand.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So we have to be very careful about the shorthand that we're putting out there.
I mean, we were just sitting back, chopping it up, reminiscing about the good old days and all that. Tracking my roots, where I came from and where I'm going. But like I say, man,